Okay, so some breaking news when it comes to the Department of Education. Under President Trump, according to Yahoo News, he has initiated sweeping layoffs Tuesday night, sending reduction in force notices to more than 1,000 employees shortly after 6 p.m. Eastern. The department ultimately plans to slash nearly half of its 4,200 workers, according to the reports, while also terminating leases on buildings in New York, Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, and other cities. The dramatic downsizing comes shortly after the department told employees that its offices would be closed Tuesday evening and Wednesday for unspecified security reasons. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump administration was circulating a draft executive order aimed at abolishing the education department altogether. Newly confirmed Education Secretary Linda Macron must take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the education department. The draft order said the federal bureaucratic hold on education must end, according to this article. Instead, the draft continued the Department of Education's main focus can and should be returned to the states. Initially, the Wall Street Journal said Trump would sign the order as soon as last Thursday, but the White House pulled the expected signing, according to ABC News. So Tuesday's news about layoffs and terminated leases shows that Trump is pushing forward with his plan. That was the president's mandate, Macron told Fox News on Wednesday. His directive told me clearly it is to shut down the Department of Education. But a lot of people are asking this question. People are like, now, where did the Department of Education come from? And now they want to know all this history, and I can tell you that right now. Hold on. The Department of Education, it started in 1867. President Andrew Johnson signed legislation establishing the Department of Education. Just 1 year later, however, the department was demoted to an Office of Education within the Department of the Interior amid worries that it would exert too much control over local schools. The office initially had 4 employees and a budget of $15,000. Its job was to gather information and advise the nation's educators. In 1939, the Office of Education moved to the Federal Security Agency. In 1953, it shifted to the new Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, but it wasn't until 1979 that the office became a cabinet level department of its own. Federal education spending had soared during the 50s, 60s, and 70s to compete with the Soviet Union in science, to battle poverty, and to provide equal access for women, people of color, and Americans with disabilities. As a result, President Jimmy Carter urged Congress to consolidate the scattered education related functions of other departments: defense, justice, agriculture, and housing and urban development into a new and hopefully more efficient U.S. Department of Education. So, what does the Department of Education do? Because now everybody asking. Today, the Department of Education oversees a budget of $268 billion. Dollars. Its role, according to the DOE itself, is to establish policy for, administer, and coordinate most federal assistance to education. The assistance takes two forms. The first is loans and grants, a full 60% of the education Department's 2024 budget, or $160 billion, went to the Office of Federal Student Aid, which administers Pell Grants, federal direct subsidized loans, federal direct unsubsidized loans, and the Federal Work Study Program. Pell Grants help roughly one-third of U.S. undergraduates, all from lower income families, pay for college with an average award of about $4,500. At the same time, more than half of undergraduates in the United States receive federal loans to make college more affordable. The second form of DOE assistance is spending on public elementary and secondary education. The largest federal fund for K through 12 schools is Title I, which supplements state and local funding for low achieving children, especially in poor areas. 18.4 billion in 2023. The next largest is the Individuals with Disabilities in Education, known as the IDEA Act, which helps schools cover special education costs. 4.2 billion dollars is allocated towards that, and that was in 2023. Through these programs and others like them, Title, what is that, 4 and Title 6, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Title 9, the Department of Education holds schools accountable for complying with federal non discrimination laws. All told, public's K through 12 schools receive about $125 billion in federal funding each year, or roughly $2,500 per student. So a lot of people are like, what is next? So why does President Trump want to end the Department of Education? This is according to Yahoo News. It is because, according to his draft order, Trump believes that the experiment of controlling American education through federal programs and dollars and the unaccountable bureaucrats those programs and dollars support has failed the children, teachers, and families. So again, this is not a new argument. In 1980, just 1 year after its creation, Ronald Reagan campaigned on eliminating the Department of Education, slashing bilingual education, and cutting federal funding for public schools. So this is the update. And if you have your comments, you can drop them below. And if you have any questions, you can also do that as well. I'm Cam, and I'll talk to you soon.